Hello, 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 everybody. Nice to see you all again after a little bit of a break. If you haven't seen me before, I'm Calvin. I'm going to be your host today for the Pen Sword Live, a little just fun live stream that I throw on every now and then to work on different things. So far, most of them have been programming related. I think all of them have been programming related so far. But if you're watching this, thanks for coming along. Yeah. So if you're watching this post live, that's cool. Uh, if the message at the beginning is gone, then that means it's safe for all viewers. So I'm just gonna get started here, explain what I'm doing, and we'll get going. So let me move to my corner. Whoop. So Godot, my game engine of choice. This is a menu template I've been working on and off for past maybe about a year or so, maybe 2 years, year or so, and there we go. Actually, we're still exploring. I don't need to bring out the keyboard yet. I do. I wonder if I should change. I'll change shirts if anyone else shows up live. Okay. So here's what we're looking at: an old menu template. The idea here being is that I could make an entire multiplayer menu template for local multiplayer games, and then just use this for every local multiplayer game project after. It works in quotes, but it is a little finicky. Let's see if I can get this. It takes a little bit of time to get started up too. All right, make this nice and big. A lot of the things I like, you have profile selection. Yeah, I'm using a mouse currently, but I can, also use the keyboard. And we've got both these little like player menus as well as the. Let me switch to all chat. Okay. Make sure I also sound good on my phone real quick. Okay. Yep, we're looking good. All right. So multiplayer menu. It allows you to kind of tour around. You have an options menu with a tab screen. You can scroll. Notice the player little like thing goes off screen when you scroll by highlighting the thing. Well, we're gonna fix that. Audio, accessibility. You can change the language and it instantly switches all our wordage. You can turn off the UI motion if it's just a little bit too much for you. In our player menu, we have different options. Like we can change our profile. We can go back. We can change the name with a. We have controls. We can remap that kind of thing. We can save our options as well. Back. When you have multiple players, you have leader options. You can change who's like the main player and gets to navigate the menus. You can control that all players get to use the menus, or if only the leader can. And who's allowed to delete profiles, only the leader versus all players. And then you can disconnect. When you're ready to play, you can close that menu, hit play, press to ready. Boom, we're ready. And we can change our map. In this case, we're on spheres. We'll start up as long as everyone's ready. It'll keep on counting down. If not everyone's ready, it'll pause when we're ready up. 3, 2, 1. Have a little loading screen. And we are in the spheres environment. All of your options are still here as well. Yeah. And we're going to return to main menu. So that's the little multiplayer template I made. Oh, also here's all my credits for the stuff I'm using. I think this is all pretty Creative Commons stuff, but just be safe. So yeah, that's what I've made for a local multiplayer template so far in Godot. It works. It's a little clunky at points with like the cursor. The real problem is that it's a nightmare on my end. So we're gonna bring out the keyboard. We're gonna do a little coding thing. A lot of this I think is pretty manageable, but there's just a lot of stuff, and I was kind of making it on the fly. I didn't code it, do nice, good, clean code. So a lot of this is, named weird, or is like there's like multiple redundancies of things. It's the point where I just want to start fresh. I want to look at all this and say, nope, we're gonna just start over, learn from our mistakes, and do better. Yeah. So to do that, the title of this live stream. Oh, hey, I see you, Dylan. Glad to have you, and I'm glad to be able to see your chat. Nice. All right. Yeah. I'll wait a moment, Dylan, to kind of see if you respond again, because basically today we are going to begin the process. Yay! Okay, sweet. We're going to begin the process of remaking this menu template. It's one I modified from the Calvin Jam project from the Pen Sword Adventures episode on game development. But it has ballooned. It has ballooned to a point where I can no longer really. It has a lot of good stuff in it, but a lot of stuff that I think is superfluous and makes it not useful as a template. A lot of it is a lot of code. The settings in particular needs an entire rework. Because let me show you how my settings work. So here's the settings page. If you notice, there's only like 2 things here. And that is because this was... Okay, so let me go to the video page. So a lot of stuff here. And every time I want to make a new setting, I wrote a list of what I need to do to add a new setting. I've got dictionaries upon dictionaries. So first we need to add a key and default value to the appropriate default settings dictionary. So I have all these different dictionaries for the default settings for different settings. So like what setting should be the window when you start out the game for the first time, like a fresh computer. All that. Then I need to add an array of constants if dropdown or checkbox. So here are my constants for like resolution. So like all the resolution options. I need to make if I want to do something like that, I need to make a new set. If dropdown, add what to return to get to the dropdown options method. So all of this stuff. Add the settings to the appropriate default set settings method. So all the like default set these guys. Then if the setting is extra funky, add the extra conversions to the set setting, get setting, and default set setting methods. I believe things like languages were a little funky just because it's converting to float values and things. And then add functionality to use in the use method. So basically when you're setting up a setting, if you're like doing like switching the language, it needs to be able to call like, hey, we have a new language, change the language. So that's too much. When I was working on the kind of the end bits of the Bracky's Game Jam, I kind of figured out a better approach to settings management. Well, what I would think is best is basically I can create. Is there any way I can show this in a way? I can make a resource, is what I'm thinking. So I've in this project I've got these like little resources for like the menu animations. I could call them tween sequences. So you can tween from like different setups of the menu. And so these are like a resource, like they're a little file I can save out. Don't even know. Another thing we're gonna fix for my new menu template is better organization, I think. Yeah, so I got all these little resources. So if I make each setting a resource file, I think that is the way to go. And I'm just doing a quick check, making sure everything's still working everywhere. Yep, okay. Yeah. So basically, if I make the settings, each one of these little files, I can program it in a way where I just have to edit one little file. Oh, well, thank you, Dylan, for the compliment on the episode. Yeah, I thought the most recent Pen Sword Adventure was pretty good. Thank you, thank you. So, so let's make a. I want to use my whiteboard as what we have to fix. Eh. Okay, cleared out the board. So, better settings management. I want modules. Modules? I think I spelled that right. What else do I want? Let me load this up again. But basically, with the idea of modules is right now, if I want my menu template to work, it needs to have this little profile selection thing. So I want to be able to basically make a my fancy menu multiplayer where each player can like kind of adjust their settings while the main player is setting up the game. But I also want just basic multiplayer where it's you join in and you go. Currently, if I were to just disable that bar, I think the game says no. Also, this loading right at the beginning is a little egregious. Yeah. So right now, if it's trying to get to a menu that does not exist, so want to fix that. And I'm trying to think, non-menu interaction, because in my mind, the whole point of doing this rigmarole with these little bars at the bottom is that when you play the game, you can have the one player setting up the game that can be like, okay, we're gonna use these rule sets and all that, while all the other players are like kind of messing with like I want to change up my controls. Maybe if there's a character selection screen, they can do that down there. All that. One thing I really want to do is let me see if I can bring up a good example. There's a game called Rivals of Ether. that is like kind of a Super Smash Brothers kind of game. But one feature I really, really like that Smash Brothers does not have. Does anyone show it? Oh, yep, sweet. Okay. Let me open this in a new window. Don't. Okay, again, error message. Okay. Wrong one. There we go. So basically, in Rivals Ether, you have your character selection menu where each player can drop their tokens to choose what character they want to play as. But you can press your playtest button and kind of mess around with that character while people are still choosing their character. And I think that is the way to go for local multiplayer games. Basically, a philosophy of don't ever force someone to wait around for other players. So while everyone else is, selecting their character, you can test out kind of, make sure your controls are all set up and, and especially for Rivals of Ether, where it has the modded characters from the Steam Workshop, it's really good that you can just be like, okay, I want to test out this character before we head into a match and just get, have a little fun there. So I want the ability to have basically when I'm not the main player. Let me see how quickly I can connect another controller. Do. Look at that. Says it's connected. I think it lies. Oh, okay. There we go. So say RoboFrog here is, we also change it so only player one is in control of the menus. There we go. So while player one is over here, messing around with the options and all that, player two could be like down here playing like a little game, either a little like test version of the game that you're about to play, or maybe even just like a mini game just while you're waiting. And so I want to be able to basically when this menu is, I need to be able to like track the state of what all players are. Are they in big menu? Are they in small panel menu? Or are they just playing a game? So that is the plan. We are also going to add one more stipulation of things I want to do. Oh yeah, no. The Rivals of Ether implementation is like my favorite kind of like local multiplayer implementation I've seen done. Just because it's like, of course, like you want to be able to give your players something to do while everyone's waiting around. So it's not you're waiting for the one player just to choose the character. And if you've ever played Super Smash Brothers, with person who like really likes to mess with their like control settings, in order to mess like, with the controls and Super Smash Brothers, you have to like go into a separate menu with all the players and just wait for like the one person to change their controls, and then you can hop back, and then the next player can do it, and it's a whole thing. So this way, you could have all your players setting up their controls, you're getting ready to go, and you're just in it a lot quicker. And then while you're not, even if you're not in it quicker, everyone's can be playing around and while you're waiting. So we're gonna nuke this project from orbit. Okay, I was kind of hoping to do that off screen. Sorry. I'm always worried about like doxing my like file path structure, even though I don't think there's anything that could do it. Hmm. Yeah. Especially for a local multiplayer game, you do not want people to be just sitting around waiting, especially if like it's more of a party game where it's like, okay, everyone's kind of new. A lot of people are going to be at very different skill levels. A lot of people are going to be either really new, or some of them are going to be just kind of experienced players, and you have to be able to balance all those people, and you don't want them to get frustrated with each other. So let's make a new folder. Menu game. And cancel. Sorry, I would. Here, let me. Menu game. I've got some Apple shortcuts here that I can create project folders real quickly. Just that it matches my structure a lot better. Okay. Documents. Menu game. Application files. Select folder. Folder. Menu game. All right. Now we're in it. And first thing we're going to do right out of the gate is get the multiplayer input. Yeah, there we go. One of the best add-ons for Godot. Just really streamlines the local multiplayer process for just handling more controllers. Yep. All right. Fire. Okay, cool. Or I have some parse errors. That's good. And we'll just demo. Okay. Now we need to project settings. Globals. We're going to do an auto load here of the multiplayer input. Oh, nice. Congrats on starting game animation, Dylan. I hope it proves fruitful. I think the animation player, if I remember correctly, was pretty good in Unity. It wasn't, wasn't made for like you to do a full animation in the engine, but I mean, it can get the job done. Okay. Okay, that should be good now. Let's see, select current. Another crash. We need a join button. Input map. Join. Add. Sweet, it crashed. Crash 1. All right. I'm going to start a crash counter on the whiteboard. Okay, let's get that going again. Godot. While we're loading that back up, I can also get some music going, I think. Gonna be the Harmony of a Hunter Returns album again. I'm gonna start looking for more music soon, just so we have more options, but all right. So, input, add. This time we're going to filter by escape. And then we're going to add a join button for the joypad. You want that one. So now, let's see if we can get this to work. Yeah, that makes sense. I'd have to dig for it. But there was a channel I watched a while ago when I was in, more of the Unity kind of atmosphere that did like pixel art kind of animations, and they had a lot of really good videos on like advanced techniques for pixel animation. Like basically they've solved a lot of problems of like how do you deal with like blending between different animations and pixel art. Hi! Nope, we were just getting started. Nice to see ya. There we go. So, does this work? Yep, okay. Today we're just kind of handling the idea of making a new menu template. And I have an old one that I've kind of ground out, kind of figure out what I want in my better menu template, and now we're just kind of making a new one. And right now I'm just kind of making sure I've got everything set up in a way that won't immediately crash the game. Demo player. Move right, left, jump. I'm going to try to find that Unity animation guy. Yeah, there we go. They haven't uploaded in a good while, but they had some really good stuff on dealing with pixel art. I'm going to turn the music down just a skosh. Dealing with pixel art animations and things. Channel is Artificial. I think it's supposed to be like kind of like a pun on like artificial, but like art maybe. But yeah, they were really good and had some like really interesting ideas on like basically the idea you could set up basically a texture sheet for a pixel animation, so you could do like multiple costumes for the same pixel art like run cycle and things, but then just swap out. It's really good. I recommend it. Maybe not family friendly, but I can't remember. I think it's usually pretty okay, but you never know. Okay. Let's get back to it. Just gotta set up the basic movement stuff just for the demo, just to make sure I got it working. And S. Nope. S. That's the letter D, not S. Move. For my own sake, I want to keep these kind of in an order of keyboard, then joypad. Move down. S. Down. All right. I believe now that this demo, never mind. What am I doing wrong? Move right, move left, move up, move down. Move right. Oh, wait. I believe that's right. That's right. Okay. I was basically trying to play around with the demo character and not the demo environment. All right. Can join in with the controller, can join in with the keyboard. It works. Great. I will not be using that. The whole point of that was just so I could get all of the local multiplayer input manager set. I'm also going to preemptively get the window to look a little better. So we are, I can never remember 4K, 480, 440p, 3840. 1080 is 2160. And if I'm right, that should make us a nice big old window. Okay. Gotta make a new user interface. Menu. The more I can keep this contained to a single folder would be great, because then I can just drop this into other projects and be done with it. Okay. We're gonna keep this pretty rough here at the beginning. Expand this to be the entirety. Okay. I'm just gonna put a button on the screen and we'll go from there. Test. There it is. Okay. Very tiny button. I'm going to set a minimum size of like 300, 500, and 250. This behavior. Game overrides. Font size. Just gonna crank that up. I'm going to set this as our scene, because basically up here where we have different buttons to start the game, this one is the one that just run the current scene, so whatever you have open. One you can run a specific scene. This one will run the project, so it'll run the main scene, and you can decide what the main scene is over here and config and run. And run is what I meant. I can also clear it out, and when I hit the play button for the first time, be like, whoa, you want to use this as your main scene? And yes. Button. We're good. Sweet. All right. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Surprisingly, I am not caffeinated at the moment. You would never know it. Rock on. Okay. I'm just going to build a little basic menu here that doesn't function at all. The point being, just so I can kind of see what we're striving for here. Oh. Menu. Put that button there. It's for coding, I went, I see in chat Dylan talking about just using maybe AI for coding, just to test it out, and I understand just wanting to kind of see what it's like, but I don't know. For me, it's like I want to be able to understand what's going on here, and even if it breaks it down you never know if it's lying to you or not. And I think the skill of learning how to seek out good documentation or like good like Stack Overflow sources is always good. Yeah. I think you've probably came to the conclusion yourself. I'm just for the video that we'll upload here when the live stream is done. It's good for me to yeah. Okay. I'm going to make. I've done this before with Godot, this theme stuff, and it confuses me and scares me sometimes. Actually, let's clear that out. I'm going to make create new resource. Theme. New theme. Menu. Theme. So, I'm going to apply that to there. Show defa. Now, why does my button not look like these cool buttons? What's yeah. I think I've talked about I need to update my model somehow where like anytime I want to look at the chat, like it automatically looks, but I don't know how to do that without like making like a whole like system of eye tracking. But yeah, you need to know what your code's doing in order to fix it. So it's always good to work, even just work on it yourself and then kind of go from there. Like I said, you figured that out. You're on that track. I don't want to get too fancy right out the gate, but I do want the box. For my own sake, it'll make it a little bit easier if I just make a VBox container. Hold my buttons. Layout. Game overrides constant. Like center. There we go. There's the eyedropper. I could not find the eyedropper for that. Okay. Add a override. I'll bring that up. I think I watched a video from Game Maker's Toolkit on like accessibility, and they say like 48 is kind of like the minimum you want for on-screen text. Like 48 pixels, but yeah, I saw your suggestion about Discord. Yeah. I saw your suggestion, Dylan, about like maybe making a Discord server, and it's something I've considered, but I don't know if I want to do it quite right away. My main kind of holding point is that I don't want to have to like be like running a Discord as like a main thing, I know when it's like a small community like this, I think it'll be pretty easy to maintain like 10 or so people. But as like soon as like I get to like I'm close-ish to like 500 subscribers, and then after that you get to 1,000 pretty quickly. Once I get to that point though, it's like I worry about having to just handle a lot of people. Yeah, like I know like other YouTubers have had like Discords when they were smaller, but as soon as they got even just like a little bit bigger, it just kind of became too unmanageable for them to run. So I'll keep on thinking about it, but For right now, nothing in the cards. Oh, I'm all over the place. All right. You know, I want to just get. Can we just get to an options menu? Because I think that's the thing I can do. Okay, then we'll just make panel. I've put it in the center, just kind of make it whatever. I am wondering if this is starting to wonder if this is maybe not the greatest thing for me to work on stream, because it's a lot of just like work in the mind zone, you know. But we'll keep it going for a little bit. If anything, maybe I'll work on the idea. I want to also work on basically just a small little game for this menu template to work with, you know, just so we can see if that whole like play testing like zone thing works. Okay. We're gonna make a new folder. Settings. Settings manager. Okay. And I'm going to make this an auto load. Settings manager, add, boom, done. Yeah. No, I understand that, you know, there is some entertainment value in seeing, you know, all the steps of game development, but at the same time, like, you know, it's not necessarily a boringness. It's more just, can I work, you know, in this kind of zone of like menu stuff, while I like also have to explain me, because like a lot of when I'm working just kind of like on my own, I can kind of just kind of drift a little bit and just kind of get into a state of not of knowing where I need to go next. Okay. Settings manager. Like here, var const config file path. Now I need to open the other project in a different window because I don't remember what I do here. Can I open a second instance of Godot without it getting very angry at me? Get ready to update that crashes counter. Okay, we're good. Actually, I think I know. I just open it from the project file. I think it's fine. Sweet. Okay. Yep. Project initializing on my second monitor. Very angry about it, but it's doing it. Yep. Okay. Sweet. So now I can check my scripts from the old version. It's a little small. Hang on. There we go. So now I can over there, check my scripts and see what I did. A lot of this, I think, is good code, and I can kind of just copy it over. It's mainly just I want to kind of figure out I want a little cleaner code, and I want it to be more expandable and droppable into just like, a new project. Be like, okay, game jam coming up, just copy over these like 2 folders and boom, we're ready to roll. So this is a type string. String is capitalized. Okay. A config file is basically I can actually show you what a config file looks like with the Canvas Live app I made here. Sweet. Okay. So a config file is just basically it's pretty much just a text file, but it's a very basic text file that shows you like all your settings in pretty plain English. So it's really convenient to like just save it out and be like, okay, it's a small file. I can save it, and if I'm having problems with the game, you can change the settings file, this config file, without having to open the game. Like if, like, say, these are all the settings for the Canvas Live program you're seeing the Calvin puppet with. But if, like, say I had like screen resolution as one of these, and like I will try to load up the game, but it's like way too much, and it won't even like load up the game, I can just open this config file and like change the values myself, and it'll pull from that. So I think it's a good little system to have. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make see if we can get a new config file for this game. So, func on ready. If we do not have file access dot file exists config file path. Wait, what? So we're going to check our file structure. If this file does not exist, then we're going to func load default config. Just do that for now. Pass load default config, and then save it. Godot has it nice and easy for the config files. You don't want to save everything in the config files because that is just in that plain English. It's just in the plain English. So if you have like you're saving your stats or your inventory to just the config file, any person who can read text can just edit that and change what loads into the game. So you want to keep it pretty lean just for the project file, just for the settings. Okay. Going to make now. Okay, let me make a new script. Yeah, new script. A Setting resource. Resor. Actually, real quick, we're going to see what ref count hit. Base class for reference counted objects. Base class for any object that keeps a reference count. Resource and many other base class. I think a resource is what I want. Resource, there we go. They put it up here. It's why is they? It's important to have it up high, but it's out of order, and I don't like that. Plus for all resource. Serving primarily is data containers. Since they inherit from ref counted, resources are reference counted and freed when no longer in use. They'll also be nested within other resources and saved on disk. Text scene, one of the most common objects in a Godot project, is also a resource uniquely capable of storing and instancing the nodes it contains as many times as. So like all these different like parts of Godot are resources. So we have like button groups, we got curves, we got gradients, all that's like just an object, basically a file. Well, I'm just going to call it setting resource. I think that's the way to go. Inherit. Okay. So, with a setting resource, we want to call it, at export var. So we're going to set up basically a whole bunch of stuff that the settings manager can pull from. So I want first and foremost display name string also I need to get right on this right here. Settings. Yeah, I need to keep all my names consistent. Actually, is there a difference between settings and options, like specifically? Let's see here. Settings versus options. Ooh, okay, Reddit. Okay, everyone's just saying, whatever you feel like. That's kind of what you go for. So never mind, we're just going to call it settings. And also, while we're here, we're just settings. I think settings also works a little better as a generic for what I'm going for, because like options could imply like, oh, difficulty options, or like different optional play styles, that kind of thing. Settings is very specifically for setting up the game. At export var, so display name, and we'll do category. For now, we'll, okay, so that export is similar to your public variables in Unity, in which when you create the script, it will have like all the options visible in the inspector. So here, I can make that real quick. Setting resources. Resource setting. Oh, right. Okay. Extends class name setting resource. I know there's a way to make it so I can create a new resource from the file structure. I do not, however, remember what that is. Give me one moment. Okay, wait. We're close. Okay, I think I did. Resource. Settings resource, okay. Just say. So yeah. I think there's also a way to like save a little like file or like a little icon for it besides a little folder, like a little file, but that's fine. That's fine. So this export variable will allow me to just edit things here in the inspector without having to go into the script every time. And the export has a whole bunch of different options. Okay. It's funny because like just this morning I saw someone posted a video about all the different types of exports, and I should have watched it before this. But you can have different export. There's a dictionary. Enums. That's what I want. That's exactly what I want. Sweet. So basically, instead of export enum, do video, audio, and accessibility. I think I spelled that right. We'll check in a moment. Bar. Sweet. Bar. So instead of having like a text box, I can have a drop down. And this I'm fine with just editing as I make a new project because it'll apply it to all of the different settings I set up. Okay. Now another enum. Ooh, okay. We're gonna do it generic here, but yeah. Good luck with the snacks, Dylan. Hope you enjoy them. I am now going to make. We get these. Yeah. So, I'm going to now make. I know there are ways. I'm going to take off my headphones if I just. It's just me. So, I focus a little better without my headphones on, I feel. So, I want it to basically be able to choose between what kind of setting this is. Is it going to be a drop down? Is it going to be a slider? Going to be a toggle? I think those are all the possibilities for a settings. If not, I can figure it out later. Hi. We'll do it. Okay. So I believe there's a way, basically, you can have it. If you want to explicitly, okay. I want to use named. Okay, sweet. There's a way, basically, when you have like a drop-down list like this, you can like hide and show different export variables without you having to worry, without having to see it all. I don't remember how to do that. Multi-line node path, placeholder. What's placeholder? I swear to we have placeholder text displayed in the editor widget when no value is present. Ooh, good. Good to know. Tool buttons. Those are also very handy because they make little buttons. There is a way to collapse all the variables. How do I do it? Oh, abstract. Good job. Okay. An array. Array of strings, I think. Yeah. Also make that an export because I can edit it. That was muted. Sliderman. There's a way to like a fancy like range. I thought there was that way to do like basically like a range, so you could do like the min and max, and you can kind of separate them, but maybe not. Maybe that's out of my purview. Max, float, and then toggle. I mean, toggle is just Boolean, so. And then default. Drop down. Default. That would be a string. Actually, be an int. So basically, we're not going to be coming up with a name that could possibly not be on that list. We're just going to get the thing from the list. Export. I think someone just got pulled over near, like, right by where I live, because I heard the cop siren, like, stop. So that'll be fun. And then export var toggle default. Not float. Boolean. Booleans can be either true or false. So in this case, we'll have it default as false. Sweet. Now, default, and we want also current. Wait, don't need that as an export variable. Slider, current, float, letter. Just a skosh while I'm being a quiet guy. Yeah, but I'll bring my time. Okay. Funk. Display name. I also want export our config name. I believe now it's kind of all I've got for settings. I'm checking my referring back to my in all technicality a working setting working menu template. What do you need for a config? You need the section, you need the key, you need the value. So, and I'm going to change that to section. So I think that's what. Yeah, it likes the term section. So, the whole idea here is that I can make a whole bunch of these little files and they just handle the settings. They're going to handle the settings page will have all the settings listed in like just basically a big array. And at runtime, it'll just generate all like the sliders and all the drop downs and all that. I won't have to worry about that. It will also allow me to have like a whole bunch of different things check that setting. So like I can have, say, a language thing check the language, or whenever I update a setting, it will apply it to anything that needs it. Instead of me having to rewrite a whole bunch of stuff, I can just basically create a new file, fill out all the stuff, and it's done. So. Hey Dylan, welcome back. I've kind of made up a whole bunch of different ways a setting could be. So either it's a drop-down setting, so it could be like in my... I wonder if I should just have the old menu running in the background, if that'll be too labor-intensive. Give it one moment. Yeah, okay. So a drop down would be like windowed or full screen. A slider is a slider. And I have a toggle. So those are the kind of the three kind of options or settings I think you can have. So now I can kind of choose between those and have some default settings. I can set up what each of these is. Now we need to actually set these things. So I'm going to set this around. Yeah, so I can make a new setting, display name. It's going to be a video setting. It's going to be a slider. And I can adjust all these settings, the defaults, to look nice. And I might... Here, let me do a quick Google on how to Godot change visible exports. Based on condition. Yeah, I found something from like 2 years ago, so that's not it. I think they changed how this worked at one point. Well, I will investigate it later. I don't wanna bring things down. Set setting. New value. I was going through like all of the possibilities of this being a problem of basically not typing what the setting you're saying is and then doing a condition check after that. Match. It's always a problem for me. I always get too hung up on getting the thing right before I even get the thing in. So here we're just going to check what type it is. Case 0. Actually, might just do that as an enum. I see. Enum. Enums are weird. which that's fine to be like that. Setting types. Do that. Case of setting types. Drop down. And I've messed up something here. Okay, I don't know why I had the case. Setting types drop down. If new value is int, then it is an int, and Godot is weird in that it has, you can like do like named if statements. So instead of the double ampersand meaning and, you could also do and that's fine. But it gets weird with like is, because that doesn't mean equals like that. It means, is it a thing? So what we're doing here is checking to see if this value is of type int. And I can never remember if that's the case for like and, if it has that same weird dealio. New value is int and drop down options. Dot size. That size is greater than new value. Oh. Well, thank you very, very much for joining, Dylan. Good luck with your class. Yeah. I hope I'm of some help to anyone, even if it's just a little bit of an inspiration or something. Good luck out there. And we'll chat again next time. Hopefully I'll be able to stream a little bit more consistently. We'll see. And maybe more fun stuff too. We'll see. New value is less than. Drop down options. Size best. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're going to see if whatever this new value we're trying to set the drop down to is. Yeah. Have a good day as well, Dylan. Yeah. Thumbs up. So, also see how much energy I've got left for this stream in general. It didn't get much sleep last night. I had an appointment across town that I had to take the bus for to and fro. Running on a little bit of coffee. I don't got much energy today, but that's okay. So, up. Drop down int. Well, that's good. Then we can set drop down current equals new value. That's the drop down. Science type. Slider. If new value is float. Value is greater than or equal to slider min, and it's smaller, less than or equal to the max. Slider max. So just a little check to make sure this value that we're about to set for the slider is in between these values. So we got that. And now toggle if new value is bool. Then toggle current equals new value. Now, okay, so this will set things. A signal. Signal value changed. We drop. If we did not successfully set that thing, then I'm going to push an error. So blank was called to set with value blank in it. Well, set with blank, which sweet. And then we'll put this here, so do a little string concatenation, I believe is what it's called. And so self, and then the new value. That's pretty much what I need. Ooh, how do I... maybe I should make this a separate scene. Yep, okay. Create an empty, just a node. Node all alone. Measure. Right laptop. And now I'm going to project settings. Like that. Going to autoload the settings manager scene. So now I can have export variables. Var array, where I'm making an array of setting resources. I think that's an array of setting resource. There's a way to get this thing to run faster. So this will grab whatever our defaults are and just apply it as our current, I believe is what we want. A little bit of that, a little bit of whoop. Setting. Drop down default. Setting. Slider default. Set. Setting. Toggle default. All right. So now in here we can go for each setting resource and settings resources resource dot default setting. And while I'm bite the bullet. I'll do that. I'm going to set these all to false. Pass it the config file. Config. Config. This of type? Config. So. Going to do a match type. I could maybe make this a little cleaner where it's different, like, resource types. But I think this will work for now. If I get real desperate, I'll make it into like basically a generic settings resource that I can't create, and then I extend from that into different directions. But for right now, I'm fine with just having more settings than I need. If it's a really big file or a save issue, it just like is too demanding, then that's fine, and I'll change it. But for right now, we just want something. Okay. Config.get. Get value. So get our section and our key. All right. Use the same terminology. Nah, it gets it. Yeah, load. Load's a good word. Load. Do a save setting. Sorry, hon, we get a little quiet here. It's just, yeah, like I said, I think going forward, I might try to make it a little bit more action-y in terms of what I do. I might try to do more art on stream for this game project. I got some ideas for that, because I haven't done much art for Godot games in particular, just because I usually have been using it for game jams, and I usually keep on bombing out too quickly, and I don't get to the part of like doing the art. So I want maybe a fun Godot art stream would be nice. It'll still be for this project. It'll just be like what the little like mini game is to test the template. Current drop down. Right now, we're just kind of doing a little repetitive work. That's fine. I think this actually will be better than one base setting resource that I kind of extend, because this way I'm very specific about types, and I can type. The only thing that will not be typecast or static typed is what when we set it, and that's fine, because that value will be discarded very quickly. Better than having the value itself be a non-static type, I think. Seconds. Okay. Let's make just like a generic setting. Type okay, so test setting, we'll call it test setting. Test setting. Make it a type drop down, give it a few options. So 1 dos I. And drop down default, we'll say it's 1. I might add a validate thing later so I can make sure that that's an option. But that'll come with the make it so changing the type will hide the options that you don't need. Okay, let's make another duplicate. Test setting. Test setting 2. This one's, how about test audio? Test audio. Change that to that, change that to the slider. Make the slider min 0. Make a point. I'll also make sure we get all of our new settings here. Three, 2, 1, pop. No crash. That's good. Nothing's on the screen. That's less good. But oh, that's because I had everything like that. Right. Hey, look at that. Okay. Now to figure out where this file is. Give me one moment as I explore. Ooh. Menu pro. Oh, sweet, I think. Let me try to figure out where that file is. Like this file. No. Oh, that's the problem. I called it a different thing than I thought I did. Yep, okay. Sweet. There it is. The backside of water. Actually, it might be good when the game starts up, default all the settings, just in case when we load up a save file, none of it are correct. Because if I could easily go into my config file and have set this to be like a huge number that's outside of the range, and when it gets to using that value, it'll check this and it'll be like, oh, that's out of our range. Don't set it. Yeah. Sweet. Oh. What happens if I do that? It doesn't edit that, which I think is a good thing. I have no way to visually see what I've loaded up for me. Yeah, we didn't do much today, but I think that's about much as my okay. So I say that's as much my brain can handle. Let's see if I can fancy up the resource so it hides options that are not usable. I know there's a way to do that. Godot, hide, export variable. No, there's a way to do this. I know. I've seen it. I've seen it with my eyes. Because we're looking for export custom. No. Everything seems too tough. Let's see here. I'm looking at my old menu template. I know I did like an input prompt. There we go. whole bunch of code here for input prompts. And I think I made it in a way where things would collapse. Maybe not. One tool. Okay. Bunk on. Let's validate property. Validate property. Override this method to customize existing properties. Every property info gets through this method. Except properties out get property list. Okay. Is number editable? Property.name equals number. Properties dictionary. Okay, so that's something. Don't know if that's what we need. I think I get it. Okay, validate property. Okay, I also need to get a tool, I think. There's a little tool thing at the top allows it to run in the editor. That name. Oh, I should also do that. Colon. Set value. Setting type equals value. Notify property list changed. All right. So, okay. If the number is not okay, is that name is okay. Write this method to customize existing properties. Every property info is passed. Is that all I get? That's not quite what I want. Func get property list. Override this method to provide a custom list of additional properties handled by the engine. Should return a property list as an array of dictionaries. The result is added to an array of properties. Blah, blah, blah. Number count. This method is intended for advanced purposes. More commonly used in scripting languages. Properties. Export known. Export good. Okay. Yeah. Engine dot is editor hint. Oh, I think I get it. Okay. I'm gonna also get rid of all these exports because we're going to manually set those as export variables. Boy, oh howdy! I feel like they made this a built-in feature recently. Okay. Turn list. I think is that what I want? Yeah. Also, when static type that as an array. Yeah. Match. Actually, we'll just do an if for now. If action type, setting type equals setting types dot drop down. Return list append. Name. Type. No. Boop. Boop. Type is. Oh, flip it. Type array. Correct? Correct. Ring array? Packed arrays are weird. Array basically has to hold strings. Packed tightly so it stays memory for large array sizes. Array typed arrays and untyped arrays. Packed arrays are generally faster to iterate on a modified compared to a typed array of the same type. Also, packed arrays consume less memory. As a downside, packed arrays are less flexible as they don't offer as many convenient messages such as map. Typed arrays are in turn faster to iterate on and modify than untyped. Arrays are always passed by reference. Let's get a copy of an array that one. Okay. I think packed array will work. Works a little faster. What? I think that's a good thing. Usage. Oh, there's a hint typo. We're already packed. We're good. Type. Property. Usage. Default. Secret. This is real only. Yep. That looks good. And then return. We'll do the same for default value. Default int. Name. Down. Default. Type. Int. Type. Int. Usage. Come on. All the straight or commas. Usage. Okay. Oh. I know what I did wrong, and then return. Return this. Nope. Not at all. All right. Delete that. I'm gonna watch some YouTube videos to figure out what the deal of that is. When I figure it out, I'll talk about it next live stream. For right now, let's just fix everything here. So. Four errors, that's always good. I gotta save that just in time. Open receipt. And I'm just going to nuke the file. Boop, boop. Try that again. 2 errors this time. Yeah, we both tried 0 for that. Oh. Still errors, okay. Oh, type 2 is doing that twice. Drop down 0. Oh, made a thing in there. Egg, no more. All right. On all technicality, it didn't get much done, but I think we're at a good starting point. This is nice. My brain can only take so much, and I'm hungry. So let me move out of my corner. Oh, so thank you all for watching. This was kind of a shorter stream, and not much was fully, done, but we're getting started, and it's about starting. And I have an idea of what I want to do next time. I might work a little bit off camera, just so my brain can kind of focus a little bit better on the big pieces I need for the menu. But yeah, I think I've got a good settings system here, so this will be a lot easier to work on and easier to expand. So thank you all for watching. This should be a pretty clean VOD all out of the gates, but I'll still go through and remove the little text at the beginning that says, might not be appropriate for all ages, because it will be. I didn't do no swears this time, so we're all good there. All right. Thank you all for watching. Might try a stream tomorrow. We'll see how I'm feeling. If I get a good night's sleep. Today was not one of those cases, but we'll try. All right. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Treat each other well, and see you next time. Bye-bye.